she was perfectionist, not because she wanted to make her life to be hard. She wanted to have best life. And look at
On the following morning, I was having breakfast with my grandmother, and she asked me how the dinner went after she went to bed, and I said I was proposed.
ooh, because I'm also a single mom, and I know your mom was a single mom.
A very close friend of mine, and actually a colleague who used to work with me together, made a proposal to me to marry him. And I got shocked.
No way.
I got shocked. I said, how come?
We're both successful, powerful women, and yet we get emotional when we think about
That's true.
and talk about
Well,
these
this is
things.
always close to the heart.
But we women, emotions is our forte. We, like you and I, on the 5th minute of our podcast, we were crying. Like, do you see two guys crying in the podcast? No.
And it was the first 5-star hotel in the whole country.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps. Are you
Yes.
serious? This was amazing.
I was very proud of this opportunity.
Welcome to my podcast with you, Gulnara, Omar, and today I am so excited to introduce you to my friend, a mother of 2, a successful woman who married a love of her life from a completely different culture, who came to Dubai at the age of 25 and brought her grandmother, who was 78 years old at that time. And he built extraordinary success at the top brands like Hyatt and Marriott in Dubai. And today with us, my wonderful, beautiful friend, Olesia Majid.
Thank you so much, Gulnara, for this amazing opportunity to spend time with you and have an amazing talk.
Well, I am excited and privileged. Olesya, you know why I brought you here? Because I am impressed with your professional and personal journey. How you came to Dubai so young and you brought your grandmother, who was the only family that you had, right? And then you were growing up the ladder in this top brands. It's even difficult to get to work there, and you were growing consistently. And then you met the love of your life that I want to talk more about. And then you have 2 teenagers. Fast forward, 18 years later, you're still in Dubai. And now you're a director of operations in W Dubai, Mina Sayahi. How did you do it? Where did it start? Was it as a child, when you were a child? Tell me the story. Tell us the story. I want to know.
Well, I think it did start from childhood. The way I was brought up was always being competitive, and competition was very important, always excelling. My mom was a big perfectionist, and she wanted me to be as perfect as I could. And I was brought up in the Soviet Union, right? So we were following completely different political regime at that time, and the structure of organizations was run differently.
I remember.
So I had to be very competitive at school at that time. I had to be the best in the class. I had to always prove myself that I know more than others. And if other students get to the same level as I am, I had to equip my knowledge even with extra information to make sure I stand out. So that competitiveness in me was developed since childhood.
Yeah.
When it came to my career, it also started quite early. I was a student of Bishkek Academy of Finance and Economics. Being a student of the second year, we had an amazing company called Hyatt that were developing the first 5-star hotel in my country, Kyrgyzstan, in Bishkek.
Is that the one with the 186 rooms?
That's
hotel?
Right. That's right.
Wow.
So they came to my university in order to handpick the talented students, to give them an opportunity to have a cross exposure abroad and introduce themselves to the world of hospitality.
Wow.
I used to study in the social cultural faculty, and hospitality was one of the opportunities I could explore. So either I would go to hospitality as hotel management, or I go to operator management, or I go to transportation companies management, or tourism as a sector. And among all the students, they picked me. And it was my first opportunity to expose myself to hotel business. I went to UK when I was 19 years old.
Wow.
I went to UK, to Birmingham, to have my 3 months training. And as it was my first exposure to UK, and we used to dream about being acquainted with UK because we were learning English at school, at university, through the books.
Yes.
And to go to the homeland of the language
Yeah.
and expose yourself to...
That's why you have a little British English. Lovely, yes it is. The weather is so nice, yes indeed.
Yeah. So it was a great opportunity, and I obviously grabbed this opportunity.
Yeah.
And in order to capture for me all the memories of my training, I decided to have a diary, recordings. So I would describe every single day how I spent, for me to remember how my life in UK was and how my first professional exposure was going. It was an amazing experience I will never forget. This was an experience when I understood that hospitality, it is a hard work, right?
How did you, what made you understand that?
Because
Just give me one thing, like really kind of
we always
was
know,
a breakthrough.
as I have gone through operational department, we always knew when we start, we never knew when we finish. So putting long hours into operation, being focused on the guest experiences, was something which was very time demanding, energy demanding, but very rewarding.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the shift, I would come home, I would not feel my feet. I would have a very heavy head because I would spend sometimes 12 to 15 hours on shift.
Wow.
And I would have a short sleep, but I will take my time to update my diary.
Wow.
And this was going on for 3 months, and I truly enjoyed every single moment of it.
This is amazing.
Right? So when I came back home, my mother asked me, how did I find this exposure, and if this is really what I want to do in the future? Do I want to pursue hotel business further? And I offered her to read my diary.
She did?
She did.
She
read my diary. She read my diary, and then she looked at me with widely open eyes, and she said to me, are you sure you want to pursue that?
Oh.
And I said,
so
yes.
Beautiful. You make me emotional.
And I said, this is exactly what I want to do. So I made my mind. So now my focus at my university will be exactly on hotel management. So I started picking up the courses which were related to hotel management, and I really gained that passion towards it.
You know why you made me emotional? Because I know your story and your mom, how she left early when you were young, right? And, you know, because I'm also a single mom, and I know your mom was a single mom, and she gave you all her life, and she was perfectionist, not because she wanted to make her life to be hard. She wanted to have best life. And look at you now, and we're both successful, powerful women, and yet we get emotional when we think about.
That's true.
And talk about.
Well, this is always close to the heart,
right?
It's always close to the heart. I always say, the time is a healer. It's a doctor, but the wounds will heal, but the scars will remind of what happened in the past.
I love it. Yeah.
So this is what it is. So going back to my exposure, I was very confident. This is what I want to do. And on the following year, the hotel leadership approaches my university again, saying that they have another opportunity, and they want to send the selected talents to Egypt.
Wow.
Right. And I was so confident about this. I will pass because I had amazing records. You know, my
After
training,
London, Egypt,
of course,
piece of cake.
it was piece of cake, exactly. But you know what was interesting?
What?
I was not selected, and I got shocked.
No way.
I got shocked. I said, "How come?" I really thought I did so well, and then later I realized why I was not selected, because the hotel general manager had a different plan for me. After sending the students for hotel opening in Egypt as part of the training and exposure, he gave me a call. And he offered me a full-time job to open his hotel in Bishkek. And I was just a student of the second year.
You locally in the country, in Kyrgyzstan.
I was a student of the second year, and can imagine I'm just at the beginning of my university journey, and I have such a great opportunity to join a 5-star hotel to open.
And you were 21?
I was 21.
At that time?
I was 20. I was 20 at that time.
Wow.
And I was thinking, how will I combine studies and work? And how I can be a successful student, that I was one of the best students at the university at the same time. And I also knew this is one of the chances that I have to grab. And I grabbed that chance. Of course, I needed to have a very intensive training to be equipped with the required knowledge and skills to open the hotel.
Yes.
And they put me to participate in a very interesting experiment. The experiment was about opening hotel by a group of very young talents. We were all young, between 20 and 25.
Wow.
We were given an opportunity to join the organization as assistant managers, but having no managers above us. There was a full empowerment and faith in us with very intense prior training to equip us with the knowledge to be great talents to open a new hotel. And it was the first 5-star hotel in the whole country.
Oh my God, I have goosebumps. Are you
Yes.
serious? This was amazing.
I was very proud of this opportunity, but at the same time...
It must have been difficult. You didn't have mentors or managers above you?
No. And it was...
But you had good
tough.
education. You had prior training. So you
Yes.
had some knowledge and now you needed to apply, but
That's
you
correct.
didn't have anybody to report to.
No, nobody. And what they did, they sent me to Turkey, to one of the flagship properties of the company in order to learn. An interesting part, before actually learning, they asked me, where do I see myself? And as my first exposure in Birmingham was F&B related, food and beverage,
Right.
I said to myself, food and beverage, because I don't know anything apart from food and beverage. I learned within 3 months. It was not enough, to have only 3 months of learning. But I loved food and beverage because it was my first experience.
Yes.
And the general manager who I worked with told me, I'm afraid the positions in food and beverage are closed. Would you see yourself in the rooms division? And I recall my time when I was observing what rooms were doing, when it comes to front desk, when it comes to housekeeping. And he says, where would you see yourself in rooms? If you're interested. I said, I'm interested. And I would see myself in housekeeping. He said, why housekeeping? I said, because what I have observed and what I have learned, that housekeeping is a fundamental base in rooms division. And I would like to start my career from housekeeping. Based on that say, he arranges for me to have a training in Turkey and Istanbul for 3 very comprehensive months with a great mentors, great trainers who had to teach me all the basics, foundations, when it comes to foundations of operation, leadership, in order for me to complete this training and come back and open the hotel.
3 months.
3 months.
3 months in London, 3 months in Turkey. What is this 3 months thing with your life?
Yes, that's correct. But I mean, 3 months was very intensive, but it was enjoyable.
And it worked.
It did work.
You
because
got
when
the
I came
knowledge.
back, I got a new surprise. And the new surprise was I was introduced to the structure of my team. And the structure was very straightforward. Me as a leader and all other associates are just the baseline associates. There are no supervisors. There are no coordinators. There is no one more assistant to me to support. It's me and line associates. And I had to build my own structure within the team and groom them and develop them over the period of time in order to have a solid team, very well structured. Of course, the company was providing support during the opening, sending task force team members, but for a short while to give us extra hands, right? And I had an amazing task force assistant. She was a great leader in another hotel. She came and she supported me. She was giving me extra pair of hands, right? Otherwise, 24 hours would not be enough. So we were able to delegate among each other to cover certain things in order to execute them. So after opening the hotel, 5 years later, I got a great opportunity to move to Dubai. First, I came to Dubai to assist with the opening of one of the flagship properties called Grand Hyatt Dubai. I was offered a job during the task force assignment, which I had to decline because my mom was still back home and my mom was not well and I needed to look after her. And later, in 2005, I got an opportunity to return back to Dubai. And it was a new chapter of my life. First time abroad on a full-time basis because nothing else kept me back home. I lost my mother a few months before and I grabbed an opportunity to come abroad and start my new life journey in Dubai.
Wow, excellent. That's a great beginning. It was a loss, but at the same time, I felt you had the power already to start your life in Dubai with all the educational background, with the preparation, with the faith that your mom had in you. And also, the interesting story of yours is that you moved your grandmother of 78 years old with you to Dubai, and she lives with you until today. She's 96.
That's correct.
And she's the one who actually suggested you that you marry a man who proposed to you, and you were hesitant to say yes because you're always this results-driven leadership force. But your personal life also needed some attention, and your grandmother could see that.
Yes.
So
there is a story to it as well.
mm-hmm.
I was very career-oriented woman.
Yes.
Young woman. I didn't plan to get married. I had a lot of friends who were possessing the lifestyle being alone. They didn't need anybody, but they were very successful ladies.
Mm-hmm.
And every time when I was talking about them with my grandmother used to say, it's all great what they do in life, but think what is their future.
Uh-huh.
And she used to tell me, I don't want you to be in the elderly age when you have nobody around you. Mm-hmm. There will be nobody even to bring you a glass of water if it's needed. Mm-hmm. So she says, you can be a great career-oriented person, but you need a family. Mm-hmm. And she made me look at this differently. I honestly speaking, I didn't plan to marry early. Mm-hmm. I had a different understanding who my selected man of life will be. Mm-hmm. Until one day, on my 80th grandmother's birthday, a very close friend of mine, and actually a colleague who used to work with me together, made a proposal to me to marry him.
And it was your mother was turning,
my grandmother was turning 80 years old.
80. Oh,
80.
Wow.
And my future husband, he helped me to select a gift for my grandmother because I wanted to buy a new TV for her. And he helped me to carry this TV home on her birthday. And my grandma, being a very hospitable woman, she says, why don't you join us for the dinner? It's my birthday. So Abdul, this is the name of my husband, he accepted the invitation. And on the same evening, he proposed me to marry him. My first answer to him was no. Wow. I was not ready for this yet. And I did not see myself acquainted with so much different culture because my husband is Indian.
Wow.
Right?
A Russian girl from Kyrgyzstan.
Yes.
And a man from India.
Yeah. So it was very different. And then I actually declined the invitation, and I was asked to give a bit of hope and see maybe I will change my mind. So
he didn't give up right away?
No, he didn't. And this is what I really loved in him, because he didn't give up. And he says he will wait until I'm ready to reconsider this.
So beautiful.
On the following morning, I was having breakfast with my grandmother, and she asked me how the dinner went after she went to bed. And I said, I was proposed. And my grandmother asked me, and what was your decision? And I told her, I said no. And she says, and you were not right. You're not right. Wow. Because he is the right man for your life. With your career orientation, with your character, you need to have a man in your life who will balance you out, who will be your backbone. And she asked me to look at Abdul from a different angle, not to look at him as my colleague, not to look at him as my friend, but spend more time with him one-on-one and come to know him better.
As a man.
As a man.
Wow.
And I followed her advice. Grandma always had a very high influence on me.
Still does?
She still does. I followed her advice, and I started spending more time, not with a group of friends, but with Abdul specifically. We used to jog at night after late shift. He used to wait for me. He was doing morning, I was doing late evening. He would wait for me to come from work. We would jog together. We would drink together watermelon juice. And then he will go to bed at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning to wake up at 6 because he's doing morning shift. Wow. And I found this was very romantic. And then at the end, I melted. And I accepted his proposal, which he repeated once again. And we married. We married in the year 2009.
This is beautiful. And now you have two
We have 2 amazing children. We have daughter. She is a teenager. She is 14. We have a young son. He is only 6 years old. So they have quite a difference between age. But now I can say we have a complete family.
I have a question. Research shows that interracial couples are actually they're good for society, because they not only become the couples, the people in this is family, they become more empathetic and more understanding because of different cultural context. They raise children who navigate their life with more understanding, empathy, and compassion. And if before it was an isolated case, nowadays in such a globalization, it's a norm, and people, they meet soul to soul. And people grow, and people in Dubai, it's a hub for so many cultures and nationalities. So And I know you're very empathetic. You're very tough in your exterior, but I know you're very kind and loving and sensitive soul, which I love you for as a friend. And I also love and respect you for your values and principles you stand by. So empathy, did you always have it, or your marriage to another culture and you working in India, like you were telling me later, and understanding Abdul's culture, did it make you more empathetic, or made, because I think you were very cutthroat sometimes. Maybe I'm wrong, like you were very tough. So tell me a little bit of that impact and influence of your marriage on you as a woman and decision maker and a leader.
Yes, it did impact, certainly. And I think I was empathetic since childhood. I was always putting myself in the shoes of others, though maybe sometimes I would not visibly show this, but deep down I did feel it. And after being married to Abdul and living 3 years in India, my empathy has increased because I exposed myself to a different environment, cultural, different environment. And I needed to adapt to that environment and put myself very often in the shoes of other people around me to understand what they are in order for me to help me adapt in that environment.
I see.
And it did help me a lot at work as well, because I work in hospitality. And, you know, the empathy is one of the key elements in hospitality.
Yes.
Emotional intelligence. This is what sets it apart.
Yes. That's amazing. Well, thank you so much, Olesya. You've been so generous with your stories and tips and your personal journey. I want to ask you to share with our viewers, and especially women, what are the misconceptions about female leadership? Because you work as a woman and you have a lot of women as friends and in your surrounding. What do you think is a misconception and how we can dismantle it now?
I think very often what employers think, by hiring a female leader, she will not be able to give her 100% focus to business because she plays different roles, and her commitments towards the families might not be able to give 100% required at work. But I don't agree with this.
Yeah.
And why I don't agree with this? Because in my understanding and my experience, a healthy organization should have a very fair mix of male and female leaders because we both complement each other.
Yeah.
Ladies they possess an amazing skill called emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
It makes us understand the situations deeper. It makes us operate under high pressure.
Yeah.
Adapt to the situations and find solutions.
Yeah.
And this is a great leverage of having female leaders at work. And because we possess emotional intelligence, we can transform easily from work leader to family leader, right?
Yeah.
Come home and change your hat.
Yes.
You're no longer at work. Now you play a different role. You play a role of, like in my case, granddaughter, mother, wife, and
friend.
If I don't switch, because the situations, I mean, we're all human beings. Sometimes there are days when you carry work home and emotions from work. I have a great partner in life, my husband. He will remind me that as soon as I stepped into the house, my role has changed. Right? And we give that dedication and commitment fully as we do at work, and we do the same at home. So this is a great ability to, and I think it's a great opportunity for organizations to have female leaders because we're adaptable.
Yeah.
We create additional value to organization just by having those skills.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Olesya. And I agree with you totally. I've seen many leaders. I've seen male leaders with great emotional intelligence, and they do train themselves and they do take certain type of education. Some of them are born that way. But we women, emotions is our forte. We, like you and I, on the 5th minute of our podcast, we were crying. Like, do you see two guys crying in the podcast? No. So I can see what you're saying. We connect, we feel, we may not show it because we're professionals, but trust me, our intuition is so powerful in the decision making and how we connect to each other.
I strongly believe we create a difference.
Yes, I agree. Well, thank you so much, Olesya. It was such a great pleasure and honor to have you here with us. And if you have any more questions to Olesya, if you want her wisdom and tips or mentorship, you know where to find her. And down below, we'll leave information where you can find Olesia Majid.
Thank you. It's my pleasure indeed.
Thank you so much. See you next time, guys. Stay empowered to empower others.